Hey, everybody. Welcome to, this is Hangoutlander. Hello, friends and enemies. A special shout out to Lauren Lyle only. And I hope you are all ready to get in the Waterweeds with us and Fiery Cross Part 5, which I'm currently dubbing The Mystery of the Horny Plantation. I am Beth, the host of Hangoutlander, which is a weekly recap show for Stars as Outlander. We have been recapping and chatting about Outlander since it was announced it was coming TV at our former home. That's normal. And now we're doing it right here at the Cool Table. We've been doing it for Hangoutlander. This is the third week we've had it. So tonight, we're hitting the midpoint book club discussion about the Fiery Cross. We've talked about the first 4 parts of the novel over the last couple of weeks in videos that you should definitely go back and watch. Tonight's part 5, which is by far the horniest collection of chapters in this novel, if not the whole of the Gabaldonian oeuvre. Tonight, we're going to be discussing 2 of the most pressing themes of this particular section: how it reads like its own little mystery novel, and the abject horniness going on in everyone from Jamie to the frogs. So let's say hello. Julie, what up?
Hi, everyone. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. We're going to definitely, I'm so excited to talk about this particular part because, oh my God, it was so good. So good. So I can't wait to dive into your questions and everything. And
yes, absolutely. If you are following along with us live, talk to us in the chat on YouTube. We'll say hi to you there. We can see that the whole time. And we're going to do our best to look at Twitter as well. Use the hashtag Hangoutlander if you are watching live. And I think our friend Jana is going to be tweeting for us really quickly. I'm going to retweet what we're doing. Hopefully it's not going to line up that it's happening right now. But I'm going to say hello to everybody on Twitter real quick right now. Hi, we are live. Hangoutlander. We don't normally do this. Boop. There we go. All right. So if you're with us, say hi. Let us know that you're here, and let's dive in. This was I actually really loved this section. I realize that a lot of times we get a lot of shit because people think that we are too mean. Which, by the way, I'm gonna ask people really quickly. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, but also if you're following us on Facebook, recommend us to other people do the recommendation on Facebook. But if you like Hangoutlander, this is like a thing you do. Please rate and review, recommend it on Facebook, because people who hate what we do, which is perfectly fine, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that do, and I don't begrudge them that. You're very much welcome to hate what we do. But I would love to see the people who I know follow us religiously say so that other people can find us.
Right. We didn't go away. We're still here. Yeah. And I actually don't think we're as snarky as people. We just have expectations, and we love this book series so much that we want the best for this book series. Sure. It's like we're parents. This is our child. And we only want the best for our children.
I feel more like it's a little bit of like an unwanted step nephew, but still somebody I will give a present to at Christmas.
Still have expectations, but you don't have skin in the game.
It's not like an unconditional die for it kind of love. It's more like I might beat you down if you say something ugly about it, like if you have nothing good to say, but like at the same time, I also might sit and do the same thing with you later. That's who you are. Yeah.
Right. Got it.
You know. Okay. But anyway, we're not even talking about the show. I mean, we will eventually. We have a cute little segment called Wish on a Waterweed. Wish on a Waterweed is when we want to take something directly from the novel and see it perfectly as it is written on the show, which tells you a lot about how we actually feel about the novels, because we could do this with every chapter, probably in every section, something we just want to see Jamie and Claire do exactly how it is written. And we don't always get that. And that's why it's called Wish on a Waterweed, because in the very first book, one of the best quotes from the entire book is called, it's slippery as a waterweed.
Slippery as a waterweed.
Yeah. And they didn't do it in season 1. No. They had 16 episodes. They had the scene where the slippery as the waterweed stuff happens, and Jamie still didn't say it, and I couldn't believe it. But one of the best lines of the entire book series, not in there. So we're wishing on the waterweed every time we hope something comes up exactly how it is in the book. So that'll be later. So everybody be thinking of their own, because we will
Yes.
read yours out if they're good. Hello, I see Maggie and a few other people saying hi. I'm glad that you guys are watching. But let's get into it. So this section of the novel, part 5, it is called "'Tis Better to Marry Than Burn."
Yes.
Which Jamie has said before.
Yes.
He said in his confession to Claire about Leary.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right. He made that mention to his wife.
Yeah.
In the past, and they brought it back, which is awesome.
Right? He says, I was burning pretty badly back then.
Yep. Oh, he's burning in this one.
Yeah. So
burning.
It is a direct quote to, or I guess a direct allusion to Jamie's intense horniness, and the fact that it's 25 years later and has not abated in the least. If anything has gotten stronger, is very hilarious.
Oh, Jamie's horniness level in this section alone. Yeah. If you were to do a 0 to 10 scale of how horny is Jamie, he'd be at like level 25.
Yeah, he's hard up in this whole section. As we all are.
And I'm not complaining. Nobody should complain about this section, because that's the level of Jamie horniness is at an all-time high.
Yeah, it's why I call it the mystery of the horny plantation, because it just almost makes no sense why everybody is so hard up. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the other major theme of this section. This section almost reads like its own little mystery novel.
Yep.
It has a bunch of little mysteries, but and I hate to do this to you, because we all know that this is the most, concupiscent section of any book ever. That means horny. But let's just discuss how these few chapters read like their own mystery novel. It truly could have been a whole novel that just covers these 48 hours.
Right.
And you couple it with its just abject carnality. And I wonder if the Lord John Gray books are like that. I haven't read any of them. I have them. I haven't read them. They're smaller.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they are. Maybe they're just mystery plus horn.
That's what I'm going to hope. So if any of you have read any of the Lord John Gray books, please let us know, because if that's the case, we will stop this broadcast right now, go and get them, and just start. Actually, we're not going to stop this broadcast, because we need to talk so much about this, but
I do want to know if they're like, mini mystery eroticas, because that's kind of cool.
I mean, honest to God, this whole section, and I'm going to be honest with you, there's times in this section or there's times in this book where you do skim, you do kind of glance over, you kind of read through and go, okay, I felt I read every single minute of this section, every paragraph, because like you said, it's the mystery. It's keeping in mind what she found. It's how she ended certain chapters.
Yeah.
That made you go, I have to keep reading one more chapter. It was that sense of, okay, just one more chapter. And then it was like, nope, I got to continue reading this chapter. So that for me was so good. So
Nadine said that is what the Lord John Gray novels are like. And Faith said she wanted to ask if we would read the Lord John Gray books and have live shows. Probably. I see no reason why we shouldn't do that after the actual Outlander season is over.
You know what? If they're just like this section, absolutely. I will say absolutely yes. And if this is going to be a series of shows, oh my God.
I love David Barry. I'm not going to lie. I have no issue with him whatsoever. None, which is, that's not common for me. But let's get into this mystery. Okay, Lord John Gray, that's on the back burner. We'll definitely put it up on our vision board of things we might do in 2020. So first of all, we have the big mystery of our erotica storyline. It's how the whole section starts out. And basically, it's will Duncan and Jocasta do it?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's wondering it. That tension is compounded by their age, but also by the fact that nobody can find Duncan. Second big mystery, second big, conundrum.
Right.
But that thriller is overshadowed by Jamie coming across an enslaved woman who works in the kitchens who is completely and totally inebriated to the point of seeming drugged.
Right.
She later dies horrifically, gruesomely, and
horrible. Like the Exorcist style, like blood everywhere.
Horror novel levels of gruesome deaths. And Claire determines that it must be murder immediately. because she can't immediately say it's something else. It's murder. So Claire decides what?
The fact that she only tells Jamie, like, I think it's murder.
Yeah, she
that was
she decides
awesome.
to investigate her suspicions without asking anybody what happened. There's all these women in the attic room with Betty, right? And the doctor, and the only thing she asks him is what he gave her.
Right.
She doesn't ask any other questions like what was happening when she came up there? What were her symptoms? Why did they call you up there? Or how long did her fever? You know, she doesn't ask anything.
Nothing.
So, but without asking anyone, including that other physician, real questions, she decides that she's going to investigate by performing an illegal and very ill-advised autopsy by lamplight. But that's not all. A famous villain arrives to see her up to her wrists in offal. Jamie chases him. And they all find out that this villain has tied up Jocasta, busted up Duncan's head, and all for King Louis's gold that we haven't heard about in several books. Then everyone just sits down to the worst hangover cure of all time, tea, and talking it out like the end of a Scooby-Doo episode. It's worse than the end of Knives Out when Daniel Craig is just telling everybody how it happened. But darn it all, it's time to go home. And Jamie gets a letter from the governor. He's only got a month to bring in the barley. And then he has to raise the militia. And that's exactly like the end of season 4. And it's exactly like the end of part 1 again. And in the middle of all that, there are a bunch of sexy mysteries. But let's get to this main. And
who solves it? Who's the Velma of this group? Roger is the Velma of this group.
Let's discuss Roger in this section.
Yes, let's do.
He sounds like he did it.
I was like, because I was reading it, I actually thought, I was like, is anyone ever going to question Roger and how he knows all of this, including motive?
Yeah.
Roger, who, by the way, has been gone and is... all he had to do was watch, what's the guy's name? Wiley? That's all he had to do. Roger, sitting there, just goes, this is what happened. Here's the motive. Here's why it would have happened. Here's what he probably did. And not one person said, where the hell were you, Roger, during all of this?
Were you wearing a knit cap at any point and not getting too close to Jocasta? Because it seems like that's the culprit right there.
Were you putting on an Irish accent because you knew she would recognize your voice and you're still pissed off that she told you that she's not leaving the land to you because she's afraid you're just going to marry her great niece for her money?
I was cracking up at how he, again, mismarpled the whole situation and just pulled it all together with all these threads. And Jamie's like, yeah, that makes sense. And you know,
and Claire's like, oh, of course. That must have been it.
A comedy of errors. It doesn't make any sense that they would all just take this in and think it was.
Nobody thought that.
Logical.
Nobody.
But it is. That's what they assume. What Roger comes up with in the end is what they assume has happened this whole time. And
that's the thing. So, and at that point, I'm just like, why would? Okay, Jocasta knows Claire is a healer. Am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
She knows Claire is a healer. So. This whole thing of Claire performing this autopsy, it would make like, at that point, I would just say, okay, guys, this is what I found. Here's what I did. We have to figure this out. Jocasta, sorry, I cut up, and we're going to use the word slave because Diana does not like to use the word slave. I know Amy brought that to our attention. She uses other words, but she essentially cut up this woman. And I don't get why she just wouldn't tell Jocasta, yeah, we needed to figure this out. And then Roger just swoops in because he, felt up Brianna. So now he's got a brain again. And we need to talk about that too, but at some point. But essentially, Roger became the Velma of the entire series.
Faith just said it reminds her of Mr. Body in the movie Clue. He said if he was the murderer, why would he reveal his secrets? Okay, yeah, yes. It doesn't make sense for Roger to go into everything that had happened, but it also, the only reason is it doesn't make sense for Roger to have kind of pieced it all together, I guess. If that's what happened.
Unless Roger's a sociopath.
Or he just didn't have enough to do, and all he really had to do was like sit around and think about what happened, which is not unusual.
he's not having sex a lot. He's not having that much sex with Brianna. They try, and then they got, interrupted. And so he's just like, I'm bored. What else could I do today?
It's going to figure it all out. It's going to piece it all together. But let's talk about what is actually happening. The fact that Stephen Bonnet shows up when he does makes so little sense to me.
Yeah.
Why would he choose to come to River Run when so many people are there?
Right. That was my issue. That was my issue. And of course, he's going to a place where he's being searched by a man. He knows Jamie. You got to know, he knows Jamie's looking for him. He has to know at this point.
Yeah, at this point, they've made it pretty clear that it's probable that he knows. I mean, Jamie's being approached by complete strangers who are aware of his inquiries.
So unless Stephen Bonnet is the bravest soul, or it's just convenient in writing to have the same person appear, I felt, even though there was a part of me, I was like, what? I was like,
I guess it's because Lieutenant Wolf is there and they need to rendezvous. I guess that's the excuse. That's the only excuse you can come up for why a pirate would be there.
Right.
When all of those people are there. I'm not saying that there's not a reason for him to go to River Run. Obviously, he wants what he thinks is King Louis's gold.
Right.
Or whatever is still there of King Louis's gold. But the fact that he would do it in the midst of a gigantic wedding party doesn't make a whole lot of sense. When he could go when it's just Jocasta and her house servants, slaves, and Duncan, and get what he wants a lot faster without a bunch of people looking for him, without a bunch of military men there, without knowing that her nephew Jamie Fraser is going to be there. It's just so stupid.
Right. And then therefore, and what gets me is that here's Jamie, who has been looking for this man, and the man literally serves himself on a platter and still gets away.
Yeah. How does Jamie, with the fierce berserker Viking thing that he has going on, not absolutely deck the shit out of Philip Wiley and lunge for Stephen Bonnet? And you don't even get a good sense of what happens when he does lunge out of the shed. And it seems as if he is kind of bypassing Philip Wiley just to get to Stephen Bonnet. And the fact that he has no idea where he even went is unbelievable to me.
Well, the fact that they're questioning Wiley while in the stall, while in the stalls, and Wiley's like, well, I know how he got away. Look for the horse. There's no horse down that way. He took my horse. And you're just like, of course he did.
Yeah.
How did he get away from, what did he do? Do a 180, hide behind a tree and wait for Jamie and then go right back to.
And you telling me that Jamie didn't notice that? I mean, I guess it's supposed to be pitch black and all of that kind of stuff. And then there's the fire. But I mean, I just don't see him getting into that big of a scuffle with Philip Wiley while Claire's burning the whole shed down to not notice where Bonnet went. It just doesn't seem to me. It's so convenient.
Right.
And it's just frustrating that it's Bonnet. You got to deal with this.
Right.
But the other part of the mystery that kills me is the fact that we go back to King Louis's gold. It took me a minute to realize that she is talking about the 45 and not the 15 or whatever the other rising was, 17, whatever, the earlier one.
I needed, it was like, okay, it's almost like Diana needed to put an asterisk and put, please see this book on this page for this reference, because I honestly did not remember what this gold was. I was like, what is this gold?
I mean, I knew that there's like the stuff that Galus is after when she takes young Ian, which I'm assuming Dougal told her about, and it's out on this island or whatever. And so there's that gold. But at the same time, it never occurred to me that Jocasta was married and in Scotland at the same time that Culloden was going on. It probably should. I'm sure at some point when we are introduced to her at the beginning of Drums of Autumn, it talks about when she comes to the colonies, and it's probably post Culloden. But it did not occur to me that she would have been like a middle-aged woman with a young daughter.
Three daughters. And she talked about essentially all three of them. And then that line where she's like, Cameron, killed my daughters.
Yeah.
He essentially killed them. And a lot of people are commenting right now, like, this is way too convenient. The incident with Stephen Bonnet's a little too convenient.
Yeah.
Jocasta and the gold is a little too convenient. And I think how Bonnet finds out about the gold, like, all she says when they said, how did he find out about the gold? All she says is 3 men knew about the gold. Don't you think they would have taught, like,
what? Dougal didn't say anything, and Hector didn't say anything, but the other guy who was conveniently masked
said
probably did. That's what she says. And it's just a lot of conjecture in ways that don't make a whole lot of sense. And the fact that it's been 25 years and she hasn't had any other scalawags come after what they assume to be.
Thank you. You can't tell me right. You can't tell me one other person hasn't thought about this.
If it was going to be that Stephen Bonnet is the person who comes after her gold and Lieutenant Wolf is put up to it, there needed to be a Chekhov's gun at some point. Like, show me the knowledge of her bullion getting out in some way that is dangerous.
Right.
And maybe that's in Drums and I just don't recall it because it's not a major plot point. But that's the problem with these novels, is that there's so much that when you condense it down to what's going on in this novel that you can kind of pull into without having to go back to Dragonfly and Amber to remember what was going on with King Louis. I kept expecting Claire to be like, oh yeah, the dude who raped me, his gold. I mean, that's who we're talking about.
That's it. And she doesn't have that reaction. Not at all.
Yeah, that's how long ago this shit was. But in my mind, Jocasta is so much older than that. I'm actually thinking it's prior to that.
Right.
And it's just, I mean, it's a lot. I can't believe that it's this whole explanation about Louis' gold at this point in this novel.
Also, and this is what I was hoping, is you have Bree sitting right there. What I was hoping is you're telling me Bree's understanding all of this. I'd be like, I'm sorry, I have like 5 million questions. Can you talk to me? Because I don't know what the hell's going on. So I was hoping through Bree, she would explain and we could get that back. But it's essentially, how can I remember this? You have books that are 500 plus pages. I can't remember. I can't remember this one thing in this one book that wasn't a huge major plot point, even in those books. So
like Philip Wiley, I don't remember immediately. Like I have to kind of go back to who he is and what the point of him is. And she does a good job of reintroducing him, but it takes me a minute to be like, who? Right. And then Lieutenant Wolf, I'm like, who? I mean, there's just too much. So if the less amount that it can go back to books from 4 books ago would be really super helpful. I would appreciate that.
I know.
I do love Father Leclerc. Because I love a good Jesuit. I love a Jesuit. On terms of Catholic priests, Jesuits are my faves. And he cares about Jocasta in this honest, pure way.
Yes,
and I really appreciated that about him. He doesn't feature a whole lot, but I did make that note.
No, and you know what? We've seen priests in this series from even the first book who have been abusive and dangerous.
Right.
So it's nice to see Father Leclerc as, a caring. He's kind. He cares about our Auntie Jo.
Yeah.
Auntie Jo. There we go. So it was a sweet, sweet little turn.
Other little tidbits from the mystery portion of the novel, or this particular section, which should be a novel, is Roger and Claire both mention the Hades myths.
Yes.
Roger talks about Odysseus and Eurydice, and Claire talks about Persephone. And it's just like, were they just reading the same stuff?
They were.
Or it's just like an example of Diana kind of like her brain coalescing in one place at the same time.
I'm starting to think that's why Bree fell in love with Roger, because it's her mother. She fell in love with her mother. I think it is Diana. I think it's one of those things where it's like, look at me. In fact, I love the fact there was one part where Bree calls out her mom and her snobbery.
I just found out that I can show people's
thank you, Heidi.
things on there. Isn't that fun?
Okay. I think we're looking at the inside of Diana's brain, who Diana, it's funny, always said, oh, I could be Black Jack Randall. I'm like, no, you're Roger and you're Claire. That's who you are. And you're that person at a party who says these things and makes other people go,
yeah.
Okay, sure.
One little thing that I noticed too about the mystery section of this novel is the idea that the cup was the whole point. Like it was the silver cup that Duncan got as a wedding gift. It was a set of 6, and somebody obviously gave it to Betty to give to Duncan so that he would be the one who was drugged. And I realized, holy shit, Diana got this plot point from Johnny Tremaine. Anybody? Johnny Tremaine? If you're out there and you had to read Johnny Tremaine in the 4th grade while you were doing American history, colonial American history, do you remember Johnny Tremaine? He goes and he works for the silversmith. And it's not Sam Adams. Who's the other? Paul Revere. Paul Revere is the silversmith. And he wants to work for Paul Revere, but he burns his hand in the silver thing. And so he has like a club or whatever. And so he can't do it. And he has a silver cup that his mother gave him. That is the twin part of a set of 6 that goes with like the nobody cares about Johnny Tremaine. My point is that that's where she got this. Everybody and their brother has to read Johnny Tremaine. I had to read it to my girls when I was homeschooling. It's Johnny Tremaine all over again, the silver cup, and that's why things blow up. I was flabbergasted.
She is a historian, so I'm sure, right? She's a historian. Am I correct?
Well, Johnny Tremaine is fiction. He just stuck him in.
She probably read Johnny Tremaine.
Probably did.
But back to the cup and the discovery that once again, wasn't that Roger who brought up like the notion of the cup and
I think so.
Which makes me think Roger did it. It's like Roger, okay, remember when I said he was the Velma of the Scooby-Doo group? No, he's Murder, She Wrote, because wherever Jessica went in Murder, She Wrote, and I'm a child of the 80s, there was a murder.
Yeah.
Enter Roger.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
I'm down with it.
So fight me on that. It's still Roger.
Let's discuss any parts of this one where she talks about something that's absolutely disgusting. We have this little section that we call Why Diana Why?
Yes.
Why Diana Why is essentially quick fire things that Diana describes that need no description. Indeed, not need be in the book at all, but always are. At one point, she says that there is a ghostly excrescence. That's on page 447. I don't even need to know what that is, but excrescence is not the word I needed.
No, there was actually a whole, somebody just put the whole autopsy. They didn't.
Yeah.
There we go. Nadine said the whole autopsy. And there was, I'm going to be honest with you guys, when I was reading this, I was reading it yesterday while eating lunch, and I didn't realize the autopsy was coming up. And I literally, I can stomach a lot. I literally pushed my plate away. I was like, nope.
Yeah, it's really disgusting. She says the really gross part, and we discussed this together, is in the autopsy, she's moving around in Betty's stomach, and she says there's some granular material forming a pale sludge in the furrows of the rugae.
So rugae is just saying folds. It's just saying another word for folds or something underneath. So
you could have just kept it furrows of the stomach lining. And Nadine, what is baborigami? I want to say Baborigami, which is a city in Mexico, but it's not it.
It's not. And we can look it up. Let's see what it is. I'm super afraid what I'm about to see. So the other one was, it was a whole section on guessing why Duncan was impotent.
Yeah.
And he actually talks about, was he stomach growling, a rumbling? See, that's ridiculous. A rumbling in your stomach because of gas. So when you're like, oh man, what's that? Like that gurgle that happens? That's it's borborygmus or borborygmi.
Okay.
That's what it is. And it could have just been said, bubbles in my stomach. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Nobody knows.
No. But
so
there
yeah,
was,
when she's talking about Duncan, she uses, it's a nursing school word. Yeah, I get it. I mean, but like
no,
gas
she's not in
tanks,
nursing school.
I don't know.
She's not in nursing school.
Also, she talks about that a lot, and that's not the word she uses all of the time. So it's just one of those things where she just throws them in there. So when she's talking about Duncan, she uses a word like hemicoil or something like that. And it's basically like, it's like a word for a space where blood is. It just, it's a lot, Diana. Why? We should not have to have the thesaurus out.
No.
I mean, look what Faith just said. She's a medical coder. She's never seen that word. See?
No.
It's not necessary.
Nobody see these words. Like I said, Diana, thank you for writing Jamie Fraser. I will always be thankful for you for that.
Absolutely.
But I think Diana is that person at a party that throws these words, and you're just like, we're just talking about what happened at the SAG Awards, Diana. That's all we are doing right now. Thank you. We know you're intelligent, but please note that I cannot stop reading. And I did. I had to look up what was. I had to look up. Oh my God, it's on my phone right now. Borigami. I had to look up Rugai, and I had to see how to, because I was like, what the hell is this?
Completely unnecessary.
So yes, so that was part of it. What was the other one? I had it bookmarked, and it's just going to drive me nuts, and now I can't find it. But essentially, that was the line that actually made me go like that. I literally gagged.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect to not gag when reading about an autopsy. I just expect not to have to like get out the dictionary. Or
I didn't want to get out the dictionary.
Yeah, I don't really want to do that.
No, I didn't want to get out the dictionary. I didn't want to, I still like the fact, and I tweeted this on if you guys don't follow us on Twitter, please do. I like the fact that she gave us all a warning of what happens when you vape. She simply said, that stuff stays in your lungs. And I think if you ever just show somebody that sentence, I think that is a very strong PSA from Claire. So
Nadine just said the sticky beginning of rot. Oh God, this is so gross. So the last part about the mystery section that I will say is this section takes place over 48 hours. Claire, who is constantly tired, hungry, or horny, only eats a ham and biscuit. That's the only thing she eats in 48 hours. If somebody can find me another part where Claire eats anything other than that one ham biscuit. She does take a tray from, or no, that's Brianna that takes a tray from somebody and brings it to the thing. So yeah, just the ham biscuit. Yeah. The other thing is that Jamie is wearing a plaid throughout. That's kind of the whole thing. They're all dressed as in their Highlander garb because it's a wedding. And when Claire sees him at the bottom of the stairs, it says he's wearing the same thing he was wearing the night before, which is his breeches. And then later, he's fixing his plaid. So, editor, missed something. Buddy wearing his breeches? I don't think so. He'd be wearing that plaid. He's wearing the plaid because he had to adjust his cock stand at one point. He was happy he had the plaid on. And then Claire's all like, oh, he's got his breeches on. No, he doesn't. No, he didn't wear no breeches.
No, wrong. He doesn't. So an editor, but rightly so, because imagine that you're an editor to this right now. See this book? See the book that I have in my hand? That for me would have been, an editor would have been like, I'm good.
A team of editors.
That's it. I think a team of editors had to break this down, just like how we're breaking it down. For Waterweeds, we had to break this down. For Hangoutlander, we had to break this down. For their editors had to break it down.
So let's break it down into the sexy portion of this.
Oh God.
So the second aspect of this novel, or this particular point of this novel, which we're calling a novel because it's novel length, is the entire section is cloaked in unresolved sexual tension.
Oh my God.
If I were a different sort of fan, I might conjecture that Diana did it on purpose, that it was some sort of devious ploy to get us to read 140 pages of one single event of less than a weekend. But unfortunately, this section is also full of people that haven't cropped up since, friggin' Dragonfly and Amber. So I can't remember anybody's names or their significance, and I can't place them. So it's got a bunch of other stuff in there. So it can't possibly be on purpose. Right. There's a lot going on, and all you coming away with is a sense that everybody's just horned up.
Yes. Oh, especially Jamie. Jamie is the most horny. And when Jamie is the most horny,
look,
it's a thing of beauty.
I'm not averse to Jamie's horniness. It is great. But it is cloaked in mystery as well in this section. So
absolutely, because Nadine reminds us there's some foot sex in this scene. And
I can't call it that. I really cannot call it that.
The last time we had some type of foot sex, wasn't it?
Willoughby.
Willoughby was into it, and when he was into it, I was like, no. That was my new kink. I was like, holy
I mean, okay, so let's start at the beginning. If we can remember that, a reminder that the last section, it leaves off in part 4 in chapter 38 with Roger kind of reading Brianna's dream diary.
Yes.
And he gets to the point where she's talking about having a dream about them having sex, or a sex dream about them. And he realizes, or comes to the realization that since their honeymoon months before, he still hasn't been able to get the job done for her. Nope. And at least maybe perhaps if he reads her diary correctly, he knows now. And things moving forward might be more exciting and worthwhile for Brianna. But despite the fact that this entire section starts out with, I think it literally starts with, do you think they'll share a bed? That's Jamie.
The whole thing starts with the notion of sex.
The whole thing starts with Jamie thinking about sex with his aunt and his good friend. You think they're going to have sex? The whole thing is cloaked in arousal. And Claire Claire flat out calls it out. She's just like, there's this new budding spring going on. Everybody is horny. There are people like hooking up all over the place, but nobody has any privacy. So everybody is just completely carnal and has no outlet with which.
In fact, when they're trying to solve the mystery, at some point, Jocasta even says, "Oh, everybody was drunk or probably fornicating over in the bushes."
Right. They were. Jocasta, you should have provided a few empty bedrooms or quiet alcoves.
Right.
I mean, every time I read a Regency erotica, there is an alcove or two, or there is a garden,
or an attic.
There is not covered in offal.
Right.
Another word I had to read in this section, awful. But yeah, something that's not covered in the blood of a horrifically dying person. But yeah, it's it's such a horny chapter. It really I mean, I have read a lot of erotica. I mean, a lot. And I have never it's just so much. Normally, a story focuses on the two people that you want to do it and have sex. And in our case, that is always Jamie and Claire.
Absolutely.
You've got the whole question of if Jocasta and Duncan are going to do it. You've got Philip Wiley assaulting Claire and wanting to have sex with her. You've got wondering whether or not Duncan is gay, and that's why he went hiding. Then you've got Bree and Roger also wanting to have sex.
Oh, Bree and Roger.
Yeah, and then there's just a bunch of like young girls tittering on the terrace, and every time they see somebody,
everybody's fornicating. So what's funny about this, the irony of all ironies, is that the newlyweds, Jocasta and Duncan, they are not fornicating off in the bushes or in their bedroom. And poor Duncan, we find out he can't fornicate. In fact, he goes and tells Jamie,
I can't hear that word again.
Fornicate.
Please don't say it again.
Testes. Hey, I had to remove the word testes from Diana.
Poor Duncan had some sort of childhood accident and can't perform.
Can't get it up.
Really sad. But then he tells Jamie, and Jamie tells Claire. Claire, of course, thinks there's got to be some way that I can surgically fix it, even though the man is in his 50s.
Yeah.
You're not fixing it now. He knows whether or not he can get hard, Claire.
Yes.
He's not. You're not fixing it now anyway. So Claire thinks she immediately wants to fix it, but then it leads to the very fun finger bang against an oak tree.
Oh.
Which inspires Jamie to say, well, let's tell Jocasta at least he's got one good hand.
Because the guy's got a stump. And so, or a nub, whatever you want to say. So the fact that Jamie but the fact that they say this, they have this discussion, and Jamie's like, he's got one good hand. Look what I can do with it. Think of what he can do with it. No.
I know, I love that part. The finger bang against the oak tree is like pinnacle. This is what makes it a good erotica, because it starts out with UST, and then it ends with like, or in the middle, there's making out, finger banging, but you don't get to like fully consummate. And then finally
it ends
stable sex.
Oh my God. And the fact is, and I know, like, I will seriously burn the show down if they mess this up. It is perfect. There's nothing you need to change. It has camera angles that are perfect. It has dialogue. It has scene. Like, there's nothing. Stars, please do not change this scene. Do not change anything about the scene. And Sam, you do a stupid face during this scene. Some type of stupid face when you say look down and you go like this.
It's not going to do that.
I'm going to burn it to the ground. I even thought when she's standing on those stairs, we got to talk about this moment. Okay. When she's standing on the stairs and he's like, come here. And she's kind of like
who, me?
I know. Like, who else? And then
what do you want?
Exactly. And then he goes
what
like,
do you want from me, sir?
And then he goes like this. Oh. And I'm like,
yes. Especially because all they've participated in that day is the finger bang against the oak tree. And I doubt he's washed those hands. So those are the fingers.
You know, he's been doing this all day long.
Yes. No, you didn't have to do that part of it, Julie. Leave something to the imagination. And I would agree that Stars needs to do the same thing. I get uncomfortable when they have serious sex scenes. Can we please just say the right words, but don't show so much?
I just need to see a really, like, Sam Hewen, you better act strong when you do this.
No, I can't look at it anymore. I want to say this. I like the fact, I love this scene. I like to read scenes like this. I cannot, when it's time to put things on screen, this is not the kind of thing that I want. What I like, if we're going to say it now, this is my wish on a waterweed. My wish on a waterweed is when she calls him the most pig-headed man in the world, and he goes, hi, thank you, and he bows at her, and she's like, it's not a compliment. He's like, yeah, it was, and he walks out. That's the shit that I like. I'm here for that shit.
I know you do.
I don't need the rest. It's not that I don't want there to be stable sex. I do.
Yes.
I think it's important. It's a horny chapter. Everybody deserves to be horny. But I mean, this is not going to happen. I mean, like, Jocasta's not going to marry Myrta. This whole thing is not going to happen on screen. So
I just need this, like that. And I need look down. Look down. Damn you.
Stephen Bonnet popping up right here makes no sense on a television show. So this entire thing, which is just an exercise in getting him to pop up, doesn't make any sense. And then it ends, of course, with like another call to militia arms, which they've already had at the end of season 4. And if they, they're not going to do it again. No. So I don't think that this happens the way that it's happening here for lots of reasons. That doesn't mean that there won't be a weird scene where Claire is having to sleep in a room with a bunch of women and somebody starts fondling her toes and playing this little piggy.
When she said that, I was like, that's not what's going to go through my mind if I wake up and have somebody fingering my toes.
First of all, I have a toe idiosyncrasy. I cannot even think about my toes without having to like spread them out, and just don't like it. So I don't like this at all. But regardless, I know what my husband's hands feel like.
Yes.
That is So stupid. She has 3 pages in that chapter of Claire thinking
Oh,
about
yeah.
falling asleep in a room full of women. And then 3 more pages of Claire trying to figure out if they're Jamie's hands or not. Let me tell you something. I don't care how tired you are. I fully know how many, hanging cuticles Ryan has. I'm very aware of the part where he like has scars from like oven cleaner on his hand, like on his fingers when he was little, and it's like scarred and furrowed. Believe me, I'm fully aware of those hands.
Well, my whole thing too is if that was happening, I'd be like, Jamie? Like, I would actually say something.
Yeah.
Not stay quiet. Because, and as it's happening, she's like, is it Jamie? Is it Wiley? If it's Wiley, then kick your fucking foot. Kick your foot. Kick the person.
This is why it's so silly. The whole thing is so drenched in arousal. She's had this sexy dream or whatever. And she's been horny for so long.
Where she's a horse.
She just can't stop it. She's like, oh, well, this might happen. So I guess I'm just going to let it happen. What the fuck is going on in this scene? And then on top of it, let's go back to just our thematical thing about it being a mystery. She never finds out if it's him or not.
She doesn't even ask. She doesn't even, where I'm like, do we need Roger to have this conversation? He could probably figure it out because it's Roger.
Yeah.
But she never once says to him, hey, did you come into my room in the middle? Like,
yeah.
And
never says anything.
Oh, so let's ask that. Do you guys think it is? I don't think it was him. I don't think it was.
Well, Nadine thinks it was Roger.
Right. Nadine thinks it's wrong. I think it. Oh Lord, no! I thought because Roger couldn't get it. Okay, can we talk about that sex scene really quick?
Look, I have to get rid of all my thoughts about the foot sex for
okay, go for it.
Because Claire should have said, "Were you just in here?
Yes.
Like, did you? Were you just in here?" I guess maybe she's feeling like the shame of because she does like let this person finger her. It's not just her feet.
Yeah.
So I guess there's like a whole lot of like, if that wasn't my husband, I was just assaulted, and
the fact that Jamie was
didn't stop it.
Right. And Jamie was very sensitive already. There was that tension because of the whole you walked into the barn with him. What do you think is going to happen?
Again, she's already been assaulted this particular ridiculous. So I mean, there's a little bit of that going on. Like maybe she just doesn't want to face the fact that it could not have been him, so she doesn't come out and ask. So like I get maybe a little bit of that, but still like figure it out. I cannot stand that we still to this day do not know who the foot culprit is.
No. And the fact all it takes is this. Jamie, did you fill my foot up last night?
Yeah. Were you in the room?
It had to do. So we have, like you said, we have these 2 mysteries. We have the actual mystery of the murder of Betty, and then we have foot mystery. And really what's funny is all it takes is for the foot mystery for her to ask a simple question. That's it. That's it.
And she here's the thing. She lets him saying that he like walked back and forth from her room and like couldn't decide if he wanted to go in, blah, 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 blah. Be like clued that it was him. But like Philip Wiley, when he comes across her on the bench with the doctor. So the order of things is foot assault.
Right.
Jamie at the bottom of the stairs, the stable sex.
Right.
Betty gets murdered.
Right. Then
she runs up and then she helps the doctor come down to the bench and she's talking to him. She's still in her shift that she had the sex in. So she's just like barely dressed. And when Philip Wiley comes across them, he is really disgusted with her and he calls her some horrible names. He wasn't that disgusted with her when he was kissing her in the stable.
No, he quickly changed.
Yes. So the fact that he sees her with the doctor,
you think it's
he's like over it. He's like, I can't believe like you're a slut. Is basically what he's thinking. Because she allowed him to mess with her.
Yeah, she thinks he's a tease. But then that leads me to go then to say, well, Jamie would say so. I don't think Jamie would.
He wasn't there.
Right. Well,
you're talking about like the foot thing.
Yes.
I think it's possible that he was she says that it's possible he was so drunk he doesn't remember.
Well, damn. Okay, so somebody make this clear for me. How far was it? How long was it before the foot sex and then the barn sex? Like, how much time?
Like an hour. She like lays in bed and just like thinks about it for a little while, and then she
I think it was
she can't sleep, so she gets up.
Right. I think it was one of the women in the room.
Oh God. Well, regardless.
Either way, all it took for Claire this mystery could have been easily solved with Claire going, "Hey, Jamie, did you come into my room and did you feel at my foot? Do you have a thing with feet? Do you want to talk about it? Because if we're going to start doing that, then okay, I just need to be on board."
Well, she doesn't. So we'll never know. We will never, ever.
And that's why I'm like, maybe it's Roger who needs to swoop in and say, well, I think it's this, this, and this. And once again, proving that Roger is the pervert.
Yeah. So I have another mystery for the erotica section of this book. Why are the women's nipples always cherries? Always the size and shape of cherries.
No.
That's not normal. I mean, it might be normal for some people, but not every nipple is the size of a cherry. That's large.
Huge. They're huge. Everything's engorged. And you should get that checked out by Claire. Not by the other doctor, but by Claire.
I mean, what cherries? Is it that cherries back then were smaller? Like most fruits used to be smaller before we started like hybriding? Or is it that she's talking about the areola as well? Or her only experience, her experience with nipples just very vastly different than mine?
Okay, so she had kind of this running theme where it was cherries and sausages. Like everything at one point, Roger tells Bree, because Bree's like, "Oh, you smell good." And he's like, it's like sausages and wine, which horrible.
Tastes good. He tastes good.
Tastes good.
And then she says, "Yeah, me too."
Yeah. Claire then compares all of the women in the room shoved in like sausages. Then she talks about the smell of sausages. So we have like a running theme of food in this.
Again, her brain coalesces onto one thing and then it just like sits there. And she can't really move beyond it. But I still conjecture that Diana doesn't know what everybody else's nipples look like, because mine are not the size of cherries. Most of the ones I've ever seen, I've seen lots of girls' boobs, aren't the size of cherries. I'm not saying that they can't be. I'm saying that why are Bree's and Claire's that big? Why are the men calling them cherries? That seems really odd to me. And pencil eraser is more correct. Anyway, so
now I'm just wondering about Diana's. So thank you.
That you're very, very not welcome. So real quick, Roger still can't get the job done. Bree still has not had an orgasm.
None.
Bree's orgasm check is going to be the next segment in the next Hangoutlander, and we will see where we go. We're just right now it's 0 for 5, I guess.
It's 0 for 5. They can't. She can't. And the fact is, that man read her sex dream journal and still couldn't get the job done.
Still didn't get the job done.
And
I had high hopes. It was the sexiest section of the book so far. I had high hopes for Brianna, and it didn't work out. So
it didn't work out. And then it actually irked me. And I'm a person who's like, hey, Roger's just the normal guy. Roger can't compete with Jamie. I feel bad for Roger. But then it irked me when, they come in and they're like, oh my God, Jeremy is feeling ill. And she's like, oh my God. So she has to leave. And Roger stays for a second and says, should I finish right now? Or should I?
Yes.
Go? And I was like, you selfish bastard. No, go.
What is wrong with him?
And then I thought in my head, no joke, I'm like, how do I defend this guy anymore? He just literally said, should I finish right now? Then
there have been times where Jamie is like, oh shit, now I'm hard. I gotta go, but he just goes about his business. He's not like, should I go find a tree somewhere to jack off onto? No, he just deals with his life. And Roger's like, well, I'm by myself underneath this willow tree. I might as well. He is the worst.
He literally went like this. Which one do I do? And then
my son is sick, but I'm still hard. So,
but I don't know what to do. And I was like, oh God, I can't defend you to Beth tomorrow. Like, you just made it worse.
No, he was sweet in the croup tent.
Oh, he was so sweet. He was so sweet.
Sweet in
But
the croup
it was
tent.
like, I didn't need to know. I think if she had left that entire sentence out and just said, Roger realized he needed to go to Jeremy right away. And if this doctor touched him in any way, he was going to kill him.
Yeah.
Perfect. But when she added that one line of, should I finish? I went, no.
I mean, he could even bemoan the state of things. Be like, well, I guess I'm not dealing with this now, but like, don't weigh your options at that point. Your son is in danger.
It's okay to be like, crud, but I got to go get my kid.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And for me, I felt that. And then he says this line to her where she says, they talk a little bit about Duncan and the fact that, if you can't have sex anymore, and he says something and it really rang selfish to me. It was, oh God, I got to find it. It was just so selfish to me. And I'm like, no, Roger. Like, well, I don't want to do it. Oh, that was it. Well, I'd rather not do it by myself from here on out. I'm like, that for me rang so selfish. And it wasn't about her. It was about him. And I'm like, you've read her journal. You know what her fears are. You know what she's going through. And you're still focused on you. Now, when they started on the act, it started to be about him. Or about her, excuse me.
Yeah.
And I liked that. But I just felt he still doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And then the fact is, you juxtapose that to Claire and Jamie, and you're like,
the difference is that when Jamie is being selfish sexually, it's what Claire wants.
Exactly. Oh my God.
When Jamie is being selfish sexually, it's what we want.
Yes.
So
he
and
knows
it always
exactly what she wants.
And it always comes on the heels of Jamie having pleasured her first. So even the stable sex scene where he is fully there for himself and he's like, we're gonna do this or I'm gonna lose it. That's hot, A, number one. And B, it's not kind of like this passive, I really want to have sex kind of thing that Roger does. It's not passive. It's obviously very active, but very take charge and dominant. But he also did finger banger against the oak tree a couple hours earlier. So
yes, he does. And he's also
he's been waiting to cash in.
And after they have sex, he actually kind of, I'm talking about Jamie.
Yeah, he apologizes.
He apologized and she goes, no, I wanted that. Like that's good. I liked that. I don't think Roger, and maybe that's because they're young and you can argue that and this horrible thing happened to Bree and Jamie and Claire have had years together, but still it's just difficult. And
it's not the same it's not really about the years. It's about the men and their connection with
intimacy.
them.
It's the intimacy. Can we also talk about when Jamie's like standing? Is this before the finger bang? I think Jamie is standing there. Claire is talking to somebody. He's holding the goblet.
Yeah.
And then he looks at her and he just turns
She's got the fan and
and he just turns it in the way she automatically knows that's how he
very sexy. I could see that. I could watch that on screen and it wouldn't bother me.
Oh my God. I just went like this. I'm reading it. And I think this whole part was me going, and that was just such a I was just like, that's sex. That is. And so about 2 weeks ago, you asked, would you ever recommend people reading this book who've never read it? And we all had that discussion. And I really came to the realization that the reason why I would recommend people read this book, and I hate saying this, is not for Claire. It's not for obviously Roger or Bree. It is for Book Jamie. Yeah. Book Jamie brings me back every time. When I started reading this again, it's been 5 years since I've read this book or started this book. I was back in love with Book Jamie.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the entire reason that we're here. I mean, let's be real.
Exactly. And that's why Book Jamie,
always in our hearts, Book Jamie. All right. That was part 5 of the Fiery Cross, you guys. Thank you for being with us for Hangoutlander. We're doing part 6 and 7 next week, the same time, except Monday night.
Yes.
at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I hope you guys will join us. Thank you. Now that I know how to like show people's little things on the chat, like if you guys can talk to us in the chat on YouTube, so much better. And thank you for joining us on Twitter, though. If you were on Twitter, you guys were very, very funny. Michelle Keck said that there's a line where she does realize that it's Jamie playing with her toes. And look, I didn't read it, but if you say it's there, take a shot of it and send it to me because I want to know for sure. But thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.